So with that, this is a joint meeting between Westpointe and Jordan Meadows. So Joseph, do you want to introduce yourself and the people from Jordan Meadow? Oh, hold on. You can't do that because you're muted. And I just told everybody that everybody was muted. So
Joseph, you should be able to unmute. Can you not? Okay, hold on one second. How about now? Huh. Okay. I will continue troubleshooting. Give me a moment.
okay, because yeah.
Oh, you have two. Are you on the phone? Okay, hold on one second. Wait.
So
okay. As soon as I find the other one, Joseph. Oh, I found it. Wait for it. Okay, how about now?
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here. I'm here with India. We are both representing the Jordan Meadows Community Council Board, and I also serve under Dell, part of the American Red Cross Board, working with their diversity, inclusion, and mission committees. Very excited for it tonight, and excited to see all of you. And yeah, I'll turn the time back over to Dorothy.
let's see. I was going to tell you who was all here tonight, but actually we have a lot of people here tonight. So maybe rather than going through everybody's name, there's 21 of us here tonight, and no, 22 of us here tonight. So I think as we get more people on, we ought to have a great discussion tonight about the planning that we're planning on doing for the parks, as well as understanding what the Red Cross is going to be proposing to us. And then, so before we start with the Red Cross, can we have Detective Oliver? Can you unmute? Detective Oliver? That's it. There.
All right. Does that sound like it unmuted?
You are.
Oh, well, I might as well even put the camera on to scare
I don't know. Are you in your car?
I am. Let's see if I can even turn my camera on. All right. I am ready to go. I saw Fire was here too. So I guess I'll go first and let Fire end on a good note. So are there any questions, concerns from those that are in this meeting that they've seen, would like us to do more on, things that they've seen that we haven't been doing? Anything? This is kind of to kick us off. I'm even checking the chat, and the chat's empty. So
everyone should be able to unmute now.
Okay.
If you have a question.
If there's not any questions off the bat.
So Detective Oliver, okay, just the unspoken question that people want to know, but nobody's going to ask you is it difficult to tell the difference between a taser and a gun?
So we've actually adjusted our policy not too long ago, where we have to draw our taser with our offhand, which means our non-dominant hand. So for us, if like for me, my left hand, I have to put it on my left side, or only so I can only access it with my left hand. But that's a policy we've had for a while.
Okay, so that's helpful. That's interesting to know.
And another thing that with us is our tasers are bright yellow. So it's not, we used to carry the black taser, which you could look at and confuse, but the bright yellow is very easy to tell whether it's a taser. So yeah, we're a little bit ahead of the game on that policy.
Well, that's it.
I'm seeing a SWAT report. Let me see if I have a little bit that I can tell you on that SWAT report. Was that the one? And was that the one that was up on Starcrest? Is that the one we're talking about? Yes. Okay. It is the one on Starcrest. So what I can report is, as soon as I pull this back up, well, where did it go? Okay. So the Starcrest, there was a call out for the SWAT team on the 10th, about 1800 hours. So 6 o'clock. And they had someone that had a warrant, and it was a protective order violation. So they were able to place him under arrest without any issues. And yeah, that's really the extent of it. There was nothing. They had a lot of people in the house, so most of them were detained, but they were able to arrest the person that the SWAT did call out, was called out on, and there were no issues. So that's a good one to start off with. If there are you, Westpointe, do you have? So I am over. Is this for me, Joseph? Westpointe and Jordan Meadows. Yes, I'm the same detective as all. So I've got districts 1 and 2 now. So everything on the west side of I-15 is what I work with. So yes, and just so we can get in some of these statistics, we're still really concerned about the amount of car prowls and motor vehicle thefts. So in the last year, our car prowls in District 1 alone are up 141.3%. That's really concerning. They seem to, it's dropped off a little bit, but it's still really high. And we need to make sure that we, one, lock cars, don't have anything of value in the cars that people are going to try and break into. But most importantly, you guys know your neighbors and neighborhoods better than anybody. So if you see someone that's not supposed to be in the area, or not that you don't recognize, and you see them looking at cars, please call us and let us know, because then we can get out and at least stop and question and talk to them. The other concern is motor vehicle thefts. That's up 58.7% in District 1, and that's another concern too. I'm a broken record. People who start their cars in the morning and go back in the house so that it can get warm, that's where most of our stolen cars are happening. So if you can, just bear out the cold weather. It's just for I'm hoping just a couple more days, and then we'll have warm weather again. But just don't start your cars and leave them unattended. Even to go into grocery stores or to 7-Eleven or stuff like that, don't leave them unattended while they're running. That's where we're seeing some of the stolen vehicles as well. And the other thing we're seeing a lot an increase in is burglaries. So these are not residential burglaries. So outbuildings, garages, storage facilities. We're seeing an increase in that. Right now, we're 94.1% higher than we were last year. So if you see somebody that is not supposed to be in your neighborhood, or your neighbor, and they're snooping around in a neighbor's yard, please call us, because that's where we're seeing all of our we're getting a lot of concerns at right now. So are there any questions about that? Should we report empty cars we might see on our streets? Yes, you absolutely can do that. You can report it to us, or you can report it to parking enforcement directly, and they can come out and look at it. Parking issues is better unless it's an emergency. You can call in the plate. You can call us with the plate, and we can tell if it's stolen right away. If it's stolen, of course, we're going to come up there. But parking enforcement has a little bit more authority, or works better with cars on the street that you don't recognize. So yeah, absolutely call it. Especially if they have a broken. Yes, because 9 times out of 10, if you have a car that's got a broken window in it, they've either it's been prowled, or stuff's been stolen out of it, or they've dumped it. So yeah, we'd like to know about those things. We were okay. I'm not sure what this I'm not sure what George, if you can explain that. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, and if there's suspicious vehicles that you think that don't belong in your neighborhood, please call us 799-3000. Yep. And I can let you know about the car, what it compares. So citywide with car thefts, citywide is up 50.6. So that's throughout the whole city, 50.6%. District 1 is up 58. District 2 is up 65%. District 3 is up 108%. And District 4 is up 104%. District 5 is 44%. And District 6 is actually positive. They're 23%. So it's definitely not higher on the west side. District 3 has probably 3 and 4 have the most stolen cars or vehicle thefts. Correct. Yes, 799-3000 is the non-emergency dispatch number. So if there are any other questions, I'll follow through with the chat for a little while. And then you have my email. I'll leave it in the chat. I'll also leave. Okay, so that's a gang issue at the detention center for Unified, right? Yeah, Unified Police is the one that does security at the jail. So yeah, that's something will have to be brought up with the UDC or the Unified Police Department. North Temple in 2000, yes, we are definitely aware of that homeless encampment, and it is on the schedule to be abated, meaning we're going to be sending social workers out. Social workers already been out to it a couple times. They will be sent out again before the abatement, where the health department will come in and clean it up. So I think that's about it, Dorothy, unless there's any other questions. But like I said, I'll be on the chat for a little bit. So if anybody wants to send me anything, and I'll send my email and my my phone number that you can text me.
So what you should be aware that when we do the minutes, we take a copy of the chat, so that the chat really gives us an idea of what were the most important things that people wanted to know. And so it's a good indicator when we do the minutes. So just be aware that when you write something in the chat, that it may get included in the minutes. And usually when we do that, we would include your name. So if you don't want your name in it and that, then you need to write something that says that. Yeah, but anyway, it really is helpful to have those chat comments in the minutes. But, you know, then it really gives a better sense of what the community is thinking about. So with that, feel free to use the chat, but you know, Josh, you want to mute yourself from the mayor's office?
Yes. Hi, Dorothy, and hey, everyone. Good evening. My name is Josh Raboyo. I am the community liaison in the mayor's office for districts 1 and 2. And then after I'm done, I'll also leave my contact info in the chat. You can get in contact with me through email or through by phone if you won't need to get in contact with someone at the mayor's office. And you know, instead of calling the front desk, which in many cases you might get transferred to me, you can just call me directly. So I'll leave that info afterwards. And I don't have a ton tonight, as Dorothy alluded to. There was sort of a mix-up in communication with the mayor's presence at the meeting for tonight that didn't work out, but she will be coming, and as of right now, scheduled for next month's meeting for her to come and visit with the Westpointe and Jordan Meadows community and in the community council meeting. So plan for that. And then also, as you may have seen, you probably have seen on the news with the statewide mask requirement being lapsed as of April 10th, the mayor did sign a proclamation to further the mask requirement within Salt Lake City. And that is the same parameters and same requirement that already existed statewide, just for within the city, and is current. And so that is continuing. And so if there's any questions or concerns about that, please feel free to give our office a call, and we're happy to answer any questions. Additionally, speaking about, you know, the west side in general and a lot of the issues that we face there, a lot of it is focused on North Temple and issues along the North Temple corridor. And the mayor recently, just last week, announced the expansion of the Downtown Ambassadors program into the North Temple corridor, North Temple neighborhood. And basically what it is, it's a community-based resource that helps businesses and visitors and residents and people, dealing with a lot of issues related to homelessness issue along North Temple, and helping, referring people experiencing homelessness to service providers. They do a lot more constant contact with people that are on that corridor, that are hanging out there all the time. And a lot of these people, a lot of the people that work as downtown ambassadors are, formerly homeless or have in the past maybe gone through a drug treatment program. They've been in many of the places that these individuals are currently, and so they're able to reach out to them in a more persistent, constant basis, and help that area and help the businesses on the corridor deal with the safety issues that they've been dealing with. And that is already started, and it's going to ramp up even more come May 1st. They're going to have more constant presence there during the week. And so that is one thing that is being implemented that we're hopeful about, and hopeful that with that, more resources can be also, dedicated to other areas where we see issues, like as was previously mentioned, North Temple and 2000 West, further down North Temple past Redwood Road, also issues there that need to be addressed. So those are we're definitely aware of and are working on together. Our homeless engagement and response team, county health department, police department, to address those as soon as possible. So also feel free to give our office a call on those issues too, and we can talk through those. And that is all I have to share at the moment. And I'm happy to take any questions. Let me see here. I'm seeing something in the chat. I'm just getting to the chat. Sorry, I'm on my cell phone here, so can't see the chat simultaneously while I'm talking. So let me just go through here. City has extended the airport in-housing through June. I heard that the city is considering changing around vertical tiny home shelter. So I'm not aware of the tiny home aspect of it, but yeah, actually that's a good reminder. This is probably something that I was probably going to mention also, but it just slipped my mind that the mayor actually yesterday announced via social media on Facebook and Twitter that on the video announcement that Salt Lake is working to send $2 million to the provider Westpointe, which is the provider that's been running the airport in as a temporary shelter during this winter, to turn it into deeply affordable permanent housing for 100 seniors and veterans, focusing on seniors and veterans. And so it's not exactly going to be shelter. And as far as the extension through June, I'm not aware of that formally. As far as that, I'm not sure if that announcement has been made, or I wasn't able to find that. Maybe if someone can direct me to where that came from, that'd be helpful. But I'm not aware as far as the formal extension, but I know that was something that they were considering. But yeah, that has been, Switchpoint has been the provider that's been running the airport in, and the Salt Lake temporary shelter there. And so that is going to be, and as far as the tiny home aspect of it, that part I am not aware of, and I don't know if that is confirmed, because I know that the mayor has been working with groups to implement the idea of a tiny home village as a part of affordable housing stock. But to my knowledge, it hasn't been determined that is going to be implemented at that site. So if that is something that is going around, so that came from Building Salt Lake. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any confirmation on that as far as the tiny home. And then it's going to be run by Switchpoint, which is a provider of homeless services that's actually based in St. George, and that's actually run services for homeless individuals in Southern Utah, and they've done a great job down there. And it's their first time moving into the Salt Lake City market, and so we're glad to welcome another provider for services into the area. So Yeah, I can look up more information about that and get more confirmation, excuse me, about what exactly that's going to entail, and for that site. As soon as I get that, I'd be happy to share it.
That would be great, Josh. I too had seen something about the airport inn being extended for 2 months. I don't know if that was June or not, but I had seen something. Councilman Rogers, do you want to maybe
Yeah.
comment on this as part of your discussion of items?
Absolutely. Yeah, Josh always does a great job and fills in. And I was going to talk a little bit about the ambassador program, since North Temple is a hot topic. So grateful that the mayor has extended that so that the ambassadors can go into North Temple. Detective Oliver spoke about camp cleanup. We know that the Jordan River Trail is a hot place for camping as well. And we did, Dorothy, extend the airport in for the emergency overflow shelter for the winter until June. One of the main reasons for me is that if they're not in the airport inn, they're going to be on the Jordan River Trail or on North Temple, right? So, and there's other things coming forward, like Josh spoke about. The mayor's looking into a tiny home community and figuring out where that might work and looking at that. So a lot of things coming up. The council's looking at single room occupancy rezone and ordinance for that, as well as, looking at rezoning, and reclassifying certain aspects of the RM F35. So we're looking at all sorts of different things to maximize housing for Salt Lake City. But I just wanted to point that one out specifically, that the airport inn has been extended through June, actually till June, and cannot be extended after that point. So it only has that 6 months total.
So Councilman Rogers, when you say it can't be extended, it wouldn't be extended as a homeless shelter, but that's when the new facility here with
Yeah, so,
Westpointe would begin. Is that correct?
well, there's still a lot of fundraising that would need to be done in order to purchase it and actually convert it to deeply discounted housing for seniors as well as veterans. That's who the two categories would be used for, is housing 100 seniors or veterans.
Any other questions for Councilman Rogers or for Josh?
Not a question, Dorothy. I just wanted to let you know that Kevin Forbes from the fire department is here too.
Great. So Sharon, Councilman Rogers, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Are you going to be staying with us? Are you going to be able to stay?
I'm staying, but I might turn my screen off so I can eat my dinner, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Sharon Pullman is our secretary. So Sharon, as you're going along, if there's an issue or that you want to get clarification on, unmute yourself and just blurt it out. So, you don't have to guess about what's going on after the meeting. We know how that goes. So with that, Joseph, would you like to introduce?
Dorothy, I think Kevin is here to give updates. Do you have him on the agenda?
Kevin.
From the fire department.
So let me ask you this, Kevin. Did you want to do your report now, or did you want to wait till after the Red Cross had done their discussion and then add it on to it?
The sooner the better, please.
Okay, so with that, Kevin, why don't you give us the Salt Lake City Fire Department's report?
Okay, thank you. Pleasure to be here. I would do this in the fire engine like the detective did, but they're currently going out on a traffic accident.
But you could have worn the hat.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Hey, just before I forget, what little info I have about the airport inn, we had heard, because we work closely with the airport, we're on airport property here, was that it couldn't be a temporary, it couldn't be a permanent homeless shelter because of some FAA rules that don't allow homeless shelters within a certain footprint of the airport. So I was actually surprised to hear that it was being extended till June. So that's good info. I'll pass that on to my guys and the rest of the crews. But that was my understanding of why it couldn't be a permanent one. So that's that. Just a couple updates I have for you. We just found out today, we will be back testing hydrants this year. Normally we do that. We didn't do it last year because we were not very far removed from the earthquake, and public utilities wasn't 100% sure of how the whole system was. No, I'm giving my report. How the whole system was. And so they wanted to be able to do their testing, make sure everything was good to go before we did any kind of testing. So we were okay to use it for emergencies, obviously, but they didn't want us out there, just testing all of them like we normally do. But we are back testing them again this year. However, because it is a low water year, as we have done in the past during low water years, we're only going to be looking for a couple things. The general maintenance of the hydrant. We're going to make sure that the caps, we can get those off. Sometimes, over the course of a year, or been 2 years now, they'll kind of get stuck on there. So we make sure the caps are working okay. And the other biggest thing is clearance. So if any of you out there attending this meeting have a hydrant in your yard, or maybe in your neighbor's yard, go out and check. Code requires 3 feet. I think the code actually says 36 inches, but we all know it's the same thing. 3 feet of clearance, a minimum of 3 feet of clearance around that. So if there's not, you can save me a little bit of email writing, letter writing to the city, who then sends a notice out to the homeowner to get that cleared, if you guys could get that cleared.
So when we say 3 feet clearance, is that like a diameter of 6 feet?
Yeah, so it would be, yeah. And from any point on that hydrant, it's got to be, 3 feet, 3 feet in all directions.
Okay.
Yep. So, I mean, and it's actually, no, you can't say it's a 6 foot diameter, because if you took the very center of the hydrant and just went 3 feet in every direction, that's not enough. You have to go to the very outside caps and go 3 feet from the end of that. So when you take in the width of the actual hydrant, you might be closer to 7 or 8 feet as a diameter. The one thing I harped on this last month, and I'll do it again, because it's, raining, has been raining all day, supposed to be raining and snowing tomorrow. Again, please watch the rivers, have your kids watch the rivers. Between the rain, the runoff, they'll be running high, they'll be running fast, they'll be running cold. And you could look at it and it's low and slow, and then within a couple hours, it's high and fast. We had a call, it was either last spring or the spring before, where there was, some homeless people that were camping out on the side of the river. They put their tent down a couple feet back from it, but by the time they woke up in the morning, water was already in their tent, and they had to call us. We called out the Swiftwater rescue team, and we had to go rescue them from what was now the middle of the river. So they were well off to the side, off to the bank when they went to sleep that night. When they woke up in the morning, they're now in the middle of it. So please keep an eye out for that. My final point is some wildfire concerns. We talk about this every year, and a lot of this stuff mainly has to do with like up in the avenues or over on the east side, but there are some areas that concern me in this district, and I'm thinking of some areas on 7th North. I'm thinking of some areas up the canal along 215, some areas on 1700 North, Redwood, that if you see that there is vegetation growing on the other side of your property line, on the other side of your fence, that's not yours to take care of, but you have a concern about, please give us a call and we can find out who is responsible for that, and come and get that cut down. Again, you can call that same number, 799-3000, and just whoever answers the phone say, hey, I have a concern about this that butts up against my property. The grass is overgrown, and they will get you channeled to it needs to be the proper people that own that piece of land to get that stuff cut down. And some of the times it is the city. It's city property and they just need to have somebody come down.
Hey, Kevin, can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
George's in here. You know, I noticed that there is a lot of property coming up and apartment units and a lot of development around the city, around our precincts here. And I'm wondering if, you know, what role the fire department plays as far as having so many hydrants, you know, per a certain square miles or however you do it to make sure that there's enough coverage for all the units that are coming in. Do you actually go out and survey that and make sure that there's enough going on with all the development going on recently here?
I
With
personally,
hydrants and so on?
I personally don't. You got to be a lot smarter than I am to know about those kind of codes. But between the people in the city, the codes examiners, and utilities who are involved in all of that stuff, yes, that gets in the planning, development, and approval process. All that stuff does get looked at. So
How many hydrants do you think you put in for certain areas to cover, to make sure that you have enough coverage for those new units in all the areas and make sure those people are safe?
Well, honestly, again, that takes somebody who knows a lot more about the code than I do, but I do know there are certain GPM or gallons per minute requirements for that. And it all depends on the size of the main that's running in that area. So like, you know, your bigger places, like bigger roads, like Redwood and North Temple, where there's commercial and there's higher density, those have bigger mains. You're not going to find a main that big, like out in the middle of a neighborhood. So your hydrants are going to, it's the same size hydrant. It's just got a smaller main that's feeding it. But I don't know the code that well. It's something I would definitely have to look
Well,
up.
I would be concerned too. I mean, if I'm moving into an area that I'd want to make sure that there's going to be enough water and so on to, you know, in case there happens to be a problem, knock on
Oh,
wood.
I agree, but you
You
can
know?
rest assured that again, in the planning and development, all those plans have to go through city code examiners, that they've already factored all that in.
George? You there, George?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
Josh, are you there?
I'm still
George,
here.
yeah, George, if you put your
Yeah.
question in the chat, we'll forward it to planning and zoning, to Nick Norris, and we'll have his staff get back to you. Would that
Will
work?
do. Thank you. Thank you.
So I see a question here. We have a hydrant on our street that is decoratively painted. Think neighbors did it. Does SLCFD know? If somebody wants to shoot me that address, I can tell you, you know, it's a nice thing. I know kids like to do it, but we have very strict codes on how hydrants are to be painted. And those colors that are on there, they may not mean anything to you, but they mean something to us. They basically tell us what size of main is running underneath there. So I know how much water I can expect to get out of that. So if somebody has come and painted it, you know, something cute, like a little fireman or a little police officer, a little army guy, or you know, who knows what, please, in fact, if you can put it in the chat, I'll stay on for a while, and I will go check it out. I see a comment on here. I'm not sure if that's addressed to me, but I do kind of have some personal knowledge on this. The new layout of the terminal makes it difficult to get to the concourse on time, particularly ADA. I'm actually retired from the airlines out there. Thanks to COVID, I took an early retirement, so not all is bad with COVID, at least from my point of view. And I've worked at the airport and I've worked for the airlines for many years. Yes, it is definitely a much bigger airport than what we are used to. I'm not going to pick on some Montana cities, but also, folks, we're not Great Falls, we're not Missoula. You know, we're Salt Lake City. We're a hub for a major airline, Delta Airlines, and it's been like that for many years. And the old airport was actually busting at the seams not only with the amount of people that it could hold, but the way it could efficiently move airplanes around. It was basically like a dead end. It was like a dead end street, if you will. So only certain planes can move at a certain times. And so the design is much more efficient. Does that mean it's way bigger? Yes, I've already taken several flights, and it definitely takes more. But I can tell you this, every airline there has a contract with a company right now. It's called Prospect, to get you where you need to go. So when you book your tickets, or if you forget to do it then, you can do it when you check in. Just simply go to an airline representative and say, hey, I have a mobility problem. I would like, somebody to, a wheelchair or something of that effect, and they will get that to you. I do know starting, maybe it was April 1st, maybe it's May 1st, the underground tunnel that connects the A and B concourse, they either have or are about to put 2 electric carts, 6-seat electric carts at either end, and they're going to be staged just there in that tunnel to move people back and forth between the A concourse and the B concourse. So there's definitely ways to help those people who are mobility challenged to get around. For those that aren't, you're just going to have to start planning in a little extra time, because it is definitely a bigger airport. And what you see built out there now is only half of what it's going to be. They've basically built the terminal and the west part of the concourses. Now they're building the east part. So it's going to be twice as big as it is now. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. And again, whoever put that up about the decoratively painted hydrant, if you could even just get me roughly in the area, within a half a block or a quarter of a block, I'll go get that checked out and get it reported to where it needs to. And nobody's going to get in trouble, because we don't have any proof of who did it. We'll just have somebody, I'll put in a maintenance request in, and somebody from the city will come out and repaint it. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any other questions or comments for me?
So thank you. With that, Joseph, you want to introduce Dell and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I won't go into what the Red Cross does, because that's going to be something that I'm sure Dell will speak about. But just an introduction to Dell. He has been the executive director of the Red Cross since July of 2019. Before that, he was the donor development officer, and he served in that role for nearly a year. He has worked to direct design and implementation of cross-program integrations to increase the fundraising, blood collections, disaster relief capacity, and emergency preparedness in 7 of our counties, with a population of over 1.3 million people. He has led the board of directors of 18 directors to increase program impact and resource development, exceeding fundraising goals by 129%. He has also developed collaborative strategies and partnerships with 15 new community partners, exceeding blood collection targets by 110%. And just personally, I've been a part of the organization for a little over a year now. His leadership is spectacular. I really feel grateful for the opportunity to work under him and alongside him on the board. And I'm very excited for his presentation tonight, and for all of the resources that he and the Red Cross work so diligently with no ulterior motives to help all of the communities in our region. So Del Brady.
Thanks so much, Joseph, for that super gracious introduction. And it's really a pleasure to work with Joseph. I'm lucky to have him sit on my chapter board of directors. And it's great to see some other community partners on the call and to be with all of you. Josh Raboyo from the Salt Lake City Mayor's Office, the Salt Lake City Fire Department. We're grateful for all of the community partnerships that we have. Like Joseph mentioned, I'd love to just share a little bit about what the Red Cross does here locally. So I used to live in the Glendale neighborhood, and so this feels like a home turf in a way. And we just want to let you all know that the Red Cross is active and has lots of services and resources available to help you keep your family safe right here in your neighborhood. Next slide, please. So the American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. The two key words there are preventing and alleviating human suffering. So tonight, I want to share also with you some quick tips on how to help your family stay safe from home fires, and then what you can do if there ever was a home fire. And then to let you know about what the Red Cross can offer to help support you in that regard. Next slide, please. But before I jump into that, I'd also like to share that the Red Cross is so much more than just our blood collections and disaster relief. So I'm sure many of you have seen our Red Cross vans driving around the valley, requesting, blood donations. And then on the news, of course, whenever there's a major natural disaster, we're often featured there. But we do a whole lot more than that. We provide training and certification. So like for CPR certification, or even something like babysitting safety. And then we also provide services to the armed forces. We support lots of our service members and their families, both before deployment, during deployment, and then after deployment. And then we also have international services where we support disaster relief efforts overseas. And we even help reconnect families that have been separated due to civil conflict or natural disasters. So we're so much more than just the blood collections and disaster relief efforts. Next slide, please. So I'd like to boil that down to how does that apply to us right here in our neighborhood? And here are some numbers to help illustrate really how much the Red Cross is doing right here in our community, even though we may not always be in the news headlines or on the evening TV news feature. So just one example, we last year helped 1,890 families with disaster relief. So that's about 158 families a month. So we're doing a lot of work and we're helping a lot of people. And then in terms of units of blood collected, you'll see that number there, 43,626 units of blood collected. And I don't know if you already know this, but 1 unit of blood has the possibility of saving up to 3 lives. So if you multiply 43,000 times 3, that's almost 130,000 people that were impacted by blood donations last year. And that's about 70% of the population of Salt Lake City. So it's a pretty big impact. But the thing that is really inspiring and impactful to me personally, and I want you to be aware of this, is that over 90% of what we do is provided by volunteers, which means these amazing numbers are made possible by you, your neighbors, the people you see at the grocery store. Those are all volunteers, folks that just want to help and support the community and give back. Same with the blood donations. It's all of you that have donated that blood, and that's what makes it possible. Next slide, please. So we have a campaign going on right now that will help keep you and your family safe from home fires. The Red Cross responds to a disaster about every 8 minutes on average. The majority of those disasters are responses to home fires. And so this is a really big disaster. In fact, more lives are lost by home fires in the United States than lives that are lost by all natural disasters combined. So that's a huge number. You may see a hurricane or an earthquake on the news, but you don't always see the house fire. And the truth is, it's those residential fires that are taking the most lives of disasters in the United States. So we have a campaign where we are helping families keep themselves safe and prepare to prevent home fires and what they can do to escape a home fire if it ever happens. This is a free service, and I'll share more information later on, but families can sign up for a free 20-minute workshop where we'll help you put in some tools that will keep your family safe and prevent home fires. And then if you need smoke alarms, we can install up to 3 free smoke alarms in your home. Also, everyone that signs up for these free workshops will be entered into a gift drawing at the end of our campaign. So the campaign goes from April 8th to May 8th. So we're about a week into it now. And there's still plenty of appointments. So please go ahead and sign up for your free workshop. And I'll share the website in a moment, but it's www.soundthealarm.org/Utah. Next slide, please. So I don't know if we're aware of this, but most home fires, or excuse me, many home fires occur because of something that happened in the kitchen. And then here we've got this statistic of nearly 70% of us have left the kitchen while cooking, which is totally understandable. You know, if I turn to go help my kids, but I've left something on the stove. And a kitchen fire can happen immediately and without warning. All it takes is one small grease splatter or something falling and catching fire from the burner. So this is something that can happen very quick. A good kit tip is to think of cooking at your stove like driving a car. You don't leave the steering wheel while you're driving. So don't leave anything cooking on the stove without you being right there. Next slide, please. Another great way to keep yourself and your family safe is test your smoke alarms once a month. If you're anything like me, my cooking automatically tests my smoke alarm frequently, so that's not a problem in my house. But most of you are probably better chefs than I am, and so there's a button on your smoke alarm. You just press it. It's a quick test just to make sure that it's functioning. And in fact, smoke alarms reduce your risk of death or injury from a house fire by over half. So this is a small, simple thing that can drastically improve you and your family's chances of staying safe in a home fire. Next slide, please. Another important tool for you to use when preparing for escaping a home fire is having your fire escape plan established. So this is something that's a plan you come up with. You know where you're going and where your family is going to gather. And experts say that we only have about 2 minutes on average to escape a home fire. So it's very important to have this plan practiced. And in fact, keep in mind that you may have pets that you need to accommodate in that fire escape plan. Next slide, please. So practice your escape plan with your pets. Go grab that hamster cage or fish bowl, or grab your dog, whatever it is. But make sure you're practicing with them. It would be terribly tragic if your pet was lost in the home fire, and they're an important part of your fire escape plan. So be sure that you include them in your practice. Next slide, please. So wrapping up, just to recap, we're offering free virtual safety workshops that will help you and your family prevent home fires and prepare for safely escaping a home fire if ever one did happen. When you sign up for these free workshops, it'll take about 20 minutes with a trained Red Cross volunteer, and you'll be entered into a gift drawing that we'll do at the end of the campaign on May 8th. And if you need smoke alarms in your home, we will add you to a list to receive up to 3 free smoke alarms installed in your home at a future date when it's safe for us to resume in-person activities. So please sign up. It's free. It's only 20 minutes of your time. You'll be entered into a gift drawing, and it's very easy. And we also offer these appointments in Spanish. So all you need to do is go to www.soundthealarm.org/Utah, and you can schedule your appointment there. Next slide, please. So besides Sound the Alarm, we've got a number of ways for you to get involved with the Red Cross if you're interested. I mentioned the Sound the Alarm campaign that we're doing right now, but we also have plenty of volunteer opportunities, lots of opportunities to engage with the Red Cross. You can also donate funds to the Red Cross. Every donation helps. For example, just $10 will provide meals to individuals recovering from disaster. So, you know, every donation is helpful. And then of course, every blood donation is helpful too. Like I mentioned, 1 unit of blood can save up to 3 lives. And the process will only take about an hour. So I'm not sure what else you could do in an hour that will potentially save 3 lives. So please join us, reach out, connect with us, get involved with your local Red Cross. We've got lots of great opportunities, and we're also here to help you stay safe and your family stay safe. Next slide, please. And here's my contact information. Please reach out to me directly. Always happy to answer any questions or get you connected with a volunteer opportunity. Just always happy to be here as a Red Cross resource to you. Thank you so much for your time. It was really a pleasure to be with you. And I'm happy to stick around and answer questions if you'd like.
So Allison, do you want to read some of the chat comments, or Dale, can you see the chat comments?
Yes, so let's see, I am going through it right now. Okay, so how do Red Cross, Dorothy, would you like me to just go through them then?
Yeah, but
You
yeah.
can. I think Joseph answered quite a bit too, so you don't have to answer all of them. I think a lot of them did get answered by Joseph.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Joseph.
Please correct me if I was wrong, though.
I would just go over them, Del, make sure you've got them and that. And if there's something that you want to make sure gets in the minutes from your comments, just put it in the chat and we'll try to make sure it gets in there.
Perfect.
Thank you, Del.
Yep. Oh, thank you. My pleasure to be with you. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you. So because we're running a little bit late, I'm going to drop the presentation on the Inland Port Authority. It will come back because it's a great presentation and that, but I want to make sure that we spend enough time on the master plan for the Parks Department. So Nancy is her title was urban planner. It's not that anymore, is it?
No, I'm a senior landscape architect with Salt Lake City.
And that, so she's going to be doing the presentation on Reimagine Nature. And she's been a good advocate for us, and we're glad that she's going to be here tonight. So Nancy, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Dorothy. Thanks for having me. Yes, we are. I'm here tonight to share some big ideas for our public lands master plan, which is titled Reimagine Nature. We're actually in the second window of engagement. So what we came last fall and introduced the project process to you and did this very wide-ranging engagement, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And so now, based on that input, we've defined a series of transformative projects that I'd like to introduce tonight and invite you to give us your input to let us know if we're on the right track. So I'm going to share my screen. It looks like I'm sharing, and I disabled the annotation, I believe.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks for that instruction. It's always a little bit of a wish and a prayer on that. So again, I'm here to talk about Reimagine Nature. It's Salt Lake City's public lands master plan. And we are collaborating with Design Workshop, our consultants, on this effort to do a citywide master plan that is going to identify specific meaningful projects and initiatives that align with our values, the public lands values of stewardship, livability, and equity. Public lands is comprised of 4 divisions, including trails and natural lands, city parks, urban forest, and most recently golf. City golf was added to public lands last fall. This map shows the extent of our public land system, which includes over 70 miles of trails, 80 city parks, 108 holes of public golf, thousands of acres of natural lands, and nearly 87,000 trees in our urban forest. This citywide plan, it's a rare opportunity to establish big ideas and long-range goals and transformative projects for our public lands. And a master plan of this nature really has a 20-year horizon, with the hope that we look at it every 10 years. So the master plan is informed also by the 2019 needs assessment, which was a comprehensive analysis of our existing conditions. So how much park space do we have? Where is it located? And then how does that compare to population? And that is typically measured by or compared in terms of thousands acres per thousand population. And then you can compare across the city or between cities. My presentation is advancing on its own, sorry. So during that needs assessment, 97% of people polled thought it was important for residents to live within a 10-minute walk to a local park. So there's a real opportunity to focus going beyond the numbers to address parks and natural lands as essential elements for better air quality, climate change mitigation, energy efficiency, and environmental justice. Parks and public lands can improve the health of the city. So during engagement window 1, we connected with we made 7,000 connections with the community. And this really comes from we had a public survey, and nearly 4,500 responses to that survey, which included 3,700 general public. We also surveyed our staff. And then we partnered with the University of Utah, Dr. Evis Garcia and her students in community engagement and planning to do intercept surveys. So they had a paper survey. They went out into our parks and natural lands, and they interviewed people, the users of our parks. And what we did is we checked in on those responses over time, with the goal that we really wanted a demographic response that represented our community. And so we adjusted where we went based on where we thought we needed more responses. We also did a whole series of pop-up events with ice cream in our parks. And a lot of this was because COVID was happening, there weren't the existing events to build on. So we created these pop-ups, and I think they were actually really successful. So with the ice cream, trail intercepts, trailside snacks, we did a series of focus groups where we talked with 47 people, and that was reaching out to traditionally underrepresented groups, and that included a Spanish-speaking group, a couple of groups with formerly unsheltered individuals, and several groups on the west side, and then also groups that represented kind of interest areas. And then we did 17 community presentations. And the response rate was 4,500 surveys. It is statistically valid and representative for the community. So we feel really good about the data that we got in that first survey and help us moving forward with that. So what do we do with all that data, including 10,000 unique responses that we needed to sort? So what we're really creating here is a vision plan. So what is our aspiration? I'm really sorry, I don't know how to turn off this automatic advance. It's a vision plan that's based on kind of this overarching value lens of stewardship, livability, and equity. We tested some of our questions were, what words really resonate about planning for the future? And these goals, the words were directly related to what the community said was most important. So connect, welcome, protect, grow, and sustain. And then out of that will come strategies, transformative projects, supporting policies, practices, and priority actions. So those 5 plan goals that relate to those words, number 1 is connect. So accessible and connected green spaces. So not only the destination, but how we get there, and really looking at our multi-use trail system and providing an amenitized sort of mobility to get to our spaces with active transportation. Welcome, creating active and inclusive spaces. Protect, a commitment to stewardship. Grow, expand our park system. And sustain, environmental health and sustainability. So out of that, we're at a stage in the plan development to express the synthesis of initial ideas for public feedback. The plan vision is further expressed through 10 transformative projects that require great effort to achieve and a shift in how we operate. The projects range from local scale neighborhood park initiatives to large regional scale efforts to connect our mountain, city, and lake. And the following images help demonstrate the examples of those inspirational ideas. So the first one, just 5 minutes from here, is a wayfinding and signage campaign that makes it easier to explore nearby parks, trails, and public spaces. And I think that it really goes beyond that, and it's saying, both kind of physical signage, but online information that helps people find what resources are near them and what's available. And then something we heard in our focus groups is oftentimes people would find out about an event after it happened. So how can we make sort of all the activities or opportunities in our park system really available for people so residents can enjoy parks near and far? Connect the mountains to the lake is completing the missing links in our regional trails and invest in greenways to enhance nature and creeks within the city. So this is really the connectivity one, and on this big idea is getting, the foothills all the way to the lake, but how do you move through the city? And the city has several efforts ongoing right now with the 9-line trail. We also are in the planning stages for the Folsom Trail. And then there's a parallel effort that's more on a countywide, but to look at the 7 Greenways vision. So how do we connect our mobility or our trails to these greenways that are along the creeks, and sort of uncovering the creeks, trails, and improving natural habitat and providing for recreation. Number 3, reimagining our neighborhood parks. So what we heard quite often from our focus groups is how important, especially during COVID, but I think from now on, people will really see the value of that neighborhood amenity, because that's where we went to enjoy time with our friends in a safe way during COVID, and those neighborhood resources connected us to our neighbors and also gave us a relief. So it's looking at transforming the physical aspects of the park, but also how do we better engage our neighbors and empowering them to create spaces that have meaning for their neighborhoods and reflect their identity. And then how to promote volunteerism, donation, and adopt a park friends groups. The 4th idea is coming soon to a park near you. So we currently have an events program or events permitting program, and we we respond to community requests for programming, but can we've been hearing the desire to see more programming, especially in activating spaces. So how can we help our parks, large and small, come alive with activities throughout the year? So that would be programming, anything from nature-based education that can happen in any park. It doesn't have to be a natural area. Improve or increase volunteerism as a way to create stronger connections and help people feel more connected to their public spaces. And then also, outdoor recreation and horticulture. And then, is there a way that adding concession operations that could generate revenues to reinvest in park improvements and repairs? Meet me at the river. So this is saying that 10 miles of city-owned area along the Jordan River. Let's invest in projects and maintenance along the Jordan River Parkway that promotes equity, access, and scenic beauty, diverse recreation, and healthy ecology along the parkway. So that's everything from creating welcoming park spaces along the river, improving the native habitat and adding more trees, adding irrigation so those trees can be healthy and get the water that they need to grow into large mature trees. Improve the former Glendale Water Park, Jordan Park, and the International Peace Gardens to create regional attractions and event space with characteristics that celebrate and preserve community culture and diversity. And then enhance that water trail and make it more accessible to everyone through a self-serve kayak rental program along the Jordan River. And then add multilingual signage and river access improvements to make water recreation accessible to more people. Tell our stories. So this one, I think we heard a lot about wanting to see, I think especially on the West Side, that people wanted to see their stories and their cultures more represented in the public spaces. And as we went through this process, I think those stories came out more and more. And how do we reveal those past and present from the diversity of experience that have shaped this valley, giving focus to underrepresented and Indigenous people? And how can we express those stories through landscapes, structure, placemaking, and art? And that could be also a storytelling project with partners to collect, share, and display stories. We are also working with the preservation group and building on a legislative intent that was given to us by City Council to better steward our historic landscapes and resources, and working closely to get cultural landscape reports of our landscapes as a stewardship element before we do significant improvements and any changes to our places. And some of the ones that we're thinking about a lot right now is Allen Park, a recent acquisition, Fisher Mansion on the river, and then Warm Springs Park. And we'd like to know more. Number 7 is really looking at our downtown. Downtown comes alive outside. So downtown, the downtown planning area is the fastest growing in terms of population increase, and it has the least amount of park space. And what would that mean for West Side residents? Well, what we're seeing right now is some of these other spaces like Liberty Park or Jordan Park, as we increase population anywhere, we see pressure on all of our areas. So in order to provide recreation nearby to where people live and to maintain the kind of existing access that everyone enjoys across the city, we really think adding more significant green space downtown is an imperative. And that is, a number of things. It adds to livability and economic vitality. Investing in downtown Salt Lake City's Pioneer Park to create a vibrant destination for daily activities and events. So looking at our wide streets and creating a green loop. So reinventing the wide streets downtown to reduce the traffic to what's required, 3 lanes. And then we can have almost 60 to 70 feet of right of way that can become green space. We can plant more trees. We can reduce the urban heat island and have green space right outside people's front door. And then initiate creative projects and partnerships to integrate a network of large and small green areas and plazas into a mosaic of outdoor spaces that become the foundation of an activated downtown. And I think our downtown is everyone's downtown to explore for something different. It's where we go for festivals, and many of us work. Number 8 is growing our urban forest. So build public awareness to support new tree stewardship that allows urban forestry to plant trees in all publicly owned landscapes. So this would be a multi-pronged sort of to increase the awareness so that new trees that are supported in park strips get the care and the watering that they need. A tree that is planted in urban forestry will plant a tree in your park strip if you don't currently have one. And it is a public tree, but we rely on the homeowners and the residents to care for that tree. And then increase tree canopy cover to improve air quality, invest in the equipment and resources to responsibly reuse wood from trees removed from an urban forest to create usable wood products. So this is something, you know, right now, a lot of our trees are not harvested or utilized. And this last one is a real sustainability component to say, this is a real resource. How can we harvest it and use the wood for a purpose? And then number 9 is really thinking about the golf courses, and we are not within this project reimagining golf, but what we would like to do is how do we embrace golf within the public land system, and in what ways can we make golf feel more publicly accessible? And so that could be through alternative recreations on golf course for general public recreation. So some of the things we've talked about is, can the golf place stop a little earlier in the day? And then we have walking encouraged on the golf course, through the golf course on the paths. In the winter, is on some of our courses, like this is an image of Mountain Dell, and it's a much beloved Nordic track. And sometimes, depending on where and how our winters are, Forestdale, cross-country skiing. It's also, how can we bring more environmental benefits to our golf courses with tree planting, stormwater, nature centers, and diversifying vegetation. And then, are there making the community more aware of all of the kind of assets or programs that are actually already publicly available. And golf has quite a few programs to make learning about golf and practice areas that are nearly free or very low cost. And our final one, sort of last but not least, is about putting environment first. So cultivating more biological diversity in parks and natural areas. So what we heard quite a bit is how important the natural environment is, and how can we bring some of that experience of nature to our parks and natural lands. The picture on the right is actually Fairmont Pond, where we did a significant improvement a couple of years ago to make the edges more natural. We actually partnered with Department of Wildlife Resources to turn it into an urban fishery. And so people can now fish at Fairmont Pond, and have a botanist on staff to help us get better at the native plants and finding the right plant in the right place. We've also at Fairmont planted a lot of milkweed that is a specific habitat for monarch butterflies. And I think just that connection with nature is something special for everyone in our parks. And I think thinking about resiliency to climate change and reclaiming degraded landscapes with plants, healthy soils, and habitat. And so that's our 10 big ideas. And we would really invite you to take a survey on those to reflect and affirm the refined goals in our projects inspired from community feedback. We want to make sure goals and projects are endorsed in the public in this draft plan for later this year. And we really thank you for your time. And I am going to stop sharing my screen, and we would love to hear what you think through that. And we have questions related to each and every transformative project. And then at the end of the survey, we're asking you to say which one of these are most important, and then which of the projects are most urgent. And that is a slightly different thing, and based on community responses, that'll really help us prioritize, you know, what are the things that we're going to do first. So I would love to entertain some questions or comments if there's anything. Let's see, I'll look at the chat. So my favorite park, Murray Park, is having a hard time being budgeted by Murray City for upkeep. It's big and expensive. I don't want to lose this beautiful park. And Murray Park is a beautiful park. It is, however, in Murray. But, you know, I think some of those same themes affect us, that every year, you know, our parks maintenance budget, our staff are stretched a little further, and the maintenance has such a huge influence on creating welcoming spaces. And I think getting your support for this will help us as we advocate for funding to replace aged assets as well as daily maintenance. Let's see. Jordanelle and other trailways need better lighting for safety. Females should always have pepper spray. Mountain lions are in the area. Lighting is definitely one of the things we hear most for safety. And then also thinking about how spaces can be better activated to make everyone feel welcome. And then Peace Gardens is a hidden gem. And then Fisher Mansion is in danger. The sign says it's in bad shape. Yeah. I'm almost done. Okay. So Fisher Mansion is a priority for us to improve. We see it as a huge community asset and for telling the story, sense of place. It's beloved by the community, and we're doing everything we can to advocate for funding for that space. So this window for engagement is, the survey is open until May 7th. And if you get online, I'll put that in the chat on reimaginenature.saltlakecity.com. You can read more about the background. We have a full report on all the engagement from window 1. And then you can also take the survey. We have it in both English and Spanish.
So any other questions for Nancy? Or so Nancy, because it's, you know, it's just you and me and all these other people here, we're having this little private conversation here, and Councilman Rogers, you're not really listening. So next month when Mayor Mendenhall comes and we get to ask her questions, what questions should we be asking her?
Oh, you mean in regards to public lands?
Right, in regards to the survey and this is your, you know, implementing this and putting it together. I mean, if you were there and could, you know, this is your opportunity to make a suggestion here.
Yeah, I mean,
What was you talking to her about?
you know, I would kind of go back to the community and say, what are those open space elements that you think most need attention? And I know that the mayor has said that every decision we make will be through the lens of equity. And one of the things that we have talked about and we will do is create an equity mapping tool. So what does equity mean to this community? How should that be expressed and what are the priorities for that? And how does District 1 or Westpointe and Jordan Meadows, how will they fit into that lens of equity? And I would say in general, you know, we feel that the council and the mayor are very interested in seeing improvements and that in our public open spaces, and we're grateful for that. And we I think that the community voices make the biggest difference on what those priorities are.
So Steve,
I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think you should ask about your community and how equity might get expressed in your area.
so Steve, I see that you've got your hand up. Did you want to talk?
Yeah, I got a couple of.
I'm sorry if I made you sit
questions.
there a long time. Takes me a
No,
little.
no, you're fine. You're fine. I think in the presentation it talked about, you know, having people be learning respect for nature and things. I don't know. I think we have difficulty getting people to be respectful when we have to lock our bathrooms to keep people from destroying them. I mean, I know at Westpointe Park, the bathrooms are always locked and they haul bathrooms in. I don't know how you're going to teach people better when they don't learn that in their homes. Another question I have is, you know, we have Pioneer Park downtown, which I think is a great park and has great assets. It's got tennis courts. And I see people, when you do surveys, they often say, oh, I need more green space, or I want more outdoor stuff, but you don't see them out as much as I would expect, you know, playing tennis or doing things. You talked about having some kayaks, which I think would be a great idea to have access to that kind of thing. But I don't know, you know, people talk a great story, but they often don't do anything when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just got a bunch of thoughts, and so
Yeah.
you can kind of tackle them as you go. But a lot of the things that we do have, I think we have great assets. The Jordan River Trail is great. I think Riverside Park's a great park, and I don't know that people, you know, like them as much as they, you know. Another thing you talked about is putting greenery downtown and bringing people downtown, and then you close off all the streets, so it's a bigger hassle to get downtown. And when you're on the west side, the closest rail station is halfway to downtown, and so if you got to get in your car to get to the rail station, you might as well drive downtown, but you can't get there because all the streets are now narrowed and green. So I don't know how you fix those problems. I think they're great ideas, but in reality, it's a leap for me.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up they're all tough ones too, Steve. I think this last year with the restrooms was especially tough because they were closed longer because of COVID, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we don't need them. And so I think there was it was a balance that was hard to strike. And I believe they were closed most of last year, and we are getting ready to open them up. I think some of the kind of challenges with kind of misuse can be positively, impacted by increasing the amount of positive activity. So more people using the park is usually a better thing to reduce things like vandalism, but it's hard to make a direct relationship.
I
The
agree
Jordan
with you.
River,
I think Pioneer Park is the prime example. If people would use it, the
yeah.
bad influence would leave, but nobody will use it until the bad influence is gone. So it's kind of which is going to come first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah, and I think too, urban parks are especially challenging. And if you look across kind of any big city, urban parks, they really need more infusion of programming to provide things that are attractive to people. And that's kind of across the board in all cities, that there's active programming throughout the day, week, and year. I think one of the things with Pioneer Park is a lot of things have, there's not a lot there to attract people. We have the tennis court, basketball court, and playground, but we are currently in a planning process specifically for Pioneer Park. We have some funding to invest in there. And so you'll see some surveys this summer about Pioneer Park specifically, and looking at, I think that park especially has been very successful when we have very large events like farmers market or Twilight, but it doesn't work so well during the week for the neighbors. So we're working closely with the neighbors that live, within a block, to ask them, what they would like and what they would use. And we are seeing, we looked at kind of the stats, police department stats over the last 10 years, and there has been a 70% decrease in incidents that the police are tracking. And just anecdotally, a lot more people are using that park. Mostly
Nancy?
people have dogs.
Okay, so Nancy, I want to kind of make since we're getting close to 8:30.
Sure.
Ivis, you just came on, right?
Hi.
So, okay, so one of the things that I wanted to mention is that, we've got some opportunities here to talk more with Parks about this open space plan.
Yes.
I think Parks will be at Poplar Grove on the 24th. That's Saturday, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's another opportunity. Ivis, you want to talk about that and how that's an opportunity for people to participate more in giving input on the parks plan? I don't know if it's Ivis or Nancy wants to talk about that.
We will having like a tabling event. So there's like 14 organizations so far participating. So the Reimagine Nature campaign, and Nancy will be there, encouraging people to like fill out the survey, and then just like getting information. And of course, like all the students are also able to share information as well. We are also planning like a few community engagement activities about reimagining parks, and we hope that that could be also folded into information that we will give to the for the public lands master plan.
So this is our plug one, that after you get off of this, you go to the survey within 24 hours, because if you don't do it in 24 hours, there's a good chance it won't get done. And the second one is to really look at the 24th as an opportunity to attend and again, speak directly with this, but also see some of these ideas that Nancy talked about actually starting to be implemented at the park, the signage, the more activities in that. And then on the 30th, so that's Earth Day at Poplar Grove. And then Arbor Day, which is the last Friday of April, Tree Utah is having an event at the Westpointe Park. And I don't know if the Parks Department has been approached about being there, but that would be a really good one to be at also, not only because they're going to be planting trees in the park, but we're going to be contacting neighbors to come and in the area and build this tree canopy that you're talking about
Nice.
in the neighborhood. So that's another opportunity.
And that is April 30th, you said?
Right, Arbor Day.
Okay. Arbor Day.
I didn't know Arbor Day was the last Friday in April, but it is. And that, so that's another one. And then the Parks Department has always come to the night out, which is the first Tuesday of August. And that's also the same day that Poplar Grove has theirs. And I mean, that's a really good opportunity also, because there's probably about 700 to 1,000 at each of those events.
That's great.
So,
I'll reach out to you about those, Dorothy.
yeah, we kind of think about that. And
Yeah.
if you live in Westpointe Park or Westpointe area, and are interested in having a tree planted in, well, not just in your yard, your private property, as opposed to on the city street, put your name in the chat and we'll get you some information, because we'll have trees available on the 30th. There will be trees available in other areas. IVAS's students have already identified some in other areas, and we'll be getting information out to you also on that. So if you are interested, IVAS has put together a flyer and a survey that we can get to you.
Yeah, there's a little form that I just posted. So it has just like some basic questions for this like Arbor Day event, because like some of you might not be able to carry a 6-foot tree. So we wanted to see if you fill out the survey, we can know if the tree will have to be delivered by volunteers to your home. And there's also another few questions. So in this form that I posted is actually specific for Westpointe. So you will have to live in Westpointe to be able to get the tree.
So it's a pilot project on the 30th of where you have a large number of trees that you're putting in a community on private property. So we're trying it in Westpointe. The Ivory Foundation donated those trees for that to try it out. And then depending if we're successful and that, then we're going to make the case that they do something similar in other areas. After all, the Ivory Foundation has said they want to plant 30,000 trees. They have lots of room left of trees to plant to reach that 30,000 goal. So we just need to be smart about how we access it, in my opinion.
And if I add, the form also asks if you like to participate in a workshop. So part of the idea is that if you come at 10 a.m. to Westpointe Park, then Tree Utah will be like teaching you about like how to plant a tree and maintain it, keep it alive. And then there will be an event, right, Dorothy? That is the mayor will be there. And there will be other speakers, and then there will be like the tree giving.
So with that, George, is this a question that we need? Can we address this through the chat, or is this something that needs to be done?
I think it might be interesting for your people to know that there is going to be a chat with Chief Mark Brown, a chat talk online tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I put the link in the chat room. If you have Facebook, I think all you need to do is just put chat talk Chief Mark Brown or something like that, and it'll probably give you the link and where to find it. It starts tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and we'll have an opportunity for an hour to go on one-on-one with the chief on any questions that we might have. He's going to be there for an hour.
Thank you all very much. I'm gonna, for coming. If you're all invited next month, then we will have the mayor. And I think the following month, the plan is that SITLA, the State Institutional Trust Land Administration, is going to be talking to us about what they're going to be doing with the old North Temple landfill and whether they're going to be putting an intermodal transportation hub or something else. And then we'll probably do the following month, this kind of legislative overview on the Inland Port Authority. But that's kind of what we're looking at doing. So with that, Allison, do you want to add anything, or Sharon?
No, I think that's it.
Joel, before I lose you, as our representative with the Salt Lake City School Board, do you have any final things that you want to make sure get addressed?
No, I just wanted to say that we have a new superintendent and Dr. Gatson, and he will be starting in July. But if you follow my social media, you can get updates more on that. And if you ever have any issues, I just got an email right now, just find out right now. So this is a cool update. If you have any seniors that are graduating, we secured the Huntsman Center for the graduation location. So that's great. So we'll keep you updated with everything about graduation. It's going to be in person, but people will be wearing masks. But yeah, follow my social media to get any updates on school board related things.
And Joel, is there a possibility of us getting the superintendent maybe in the fall at an in-person community council meeting?
Yeah, Dr. Gatson is super available. He was at the school community council with West on Monday. And so I'm sure he would be interested in being in a community council, our community council meeting in the fall once he starts.
Todd, do you have anything?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I just wanted to, because I don't know if there was like a little bit overview of the Earth Day event, but I just wanted to say that there's an opportunity to volunteer for painting a mural, and also we will be like painting with stencils that will go like all the way from the Proper Grove Park to also the 900 River Park. And there will be like also planting of like flowers and just like generally plants and food. We will also have like the picket balls, other games and community engagement, and free food. So it's gonna be a great event. I already like posted the invite for that in Eventbrite. So just like tell your friends about it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Jessica? April? Anything else you guys want to add? Maria?
Nothing from NeighborWorks at the moment. Thank you though, Dorothy.
Okay, so I often don't get a chance to acknowledge all of you when you come to these meetings. And I'm going to try to do that better because I think that's one of the more important things. So thank you all. I thought this meeting was going to be a disaster, and I was really in a really crappy mood most of the day because I thought it would be, and it wasn't. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. Sharon's smiling. That means our secretary's happy. That is a good sign. So thank you all very much. And we'll see you next month.